What's up, guys? I just got back from court and Sam Bankman-Fried was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Judge Lewis Kaplan also asked that he be sent to either a medium or a low security facility as close to the San Francisco Bay Area as possible so that his family can visit him. He also asked that Sam forfeit $11 billion. It's the end of an era. But what do you guys think of a 25-year sentence for Sam Bankman-Fried? Good job sleeping on the streets last night. Yeah, we can call it sleeping. It was more like literally laying in a pile of wet, soggy trash until 9 a.m., from 9 p.m. till 9 a.m. So I'm outside the courthouse and we have like 9 hours until they open the door. So I would like to get a little nap in. So I collected some trash from the streets and I'm going to try to make a makeshift bed out of this street trash. So that was nice. And I didn't get a wink of sleep because I was laying in a wet, soggy pile of trash. Someone says lower than you thought, honestly. You thought he would get at least 30. His colleagues are probably barely getting anything. I do agree that I actually, even going into this sentencing hearing, the way that Judge Lewis Kaplan was talking about the scale of these crimes, the magnitude of these crimes, and even his thoughts on if Sam might reoffend in the future, the way that Kaplan was talking about it, I was actually expecting him to give Sam the maximum or at least like what the government was asking for, which was 40 to 50 years, because Kaplan was not just speaking to the nature and scale and magnitude of the crimes themselves, but also got into Sam Bankman-Fried's character. For example, some things that he hinged on came straight from Caroline Ellison's testimony. A couple things that he made huge points to point out were Caroline Ellison stating that at one point Sam Bankman-Fried thought he had a 5% chance of becoming president of the United States. And then he pointed to another piece of Caroline Ellison's testimony, which was when Caroline said that Sam Bankman-Fried at one point told her that he would take a coin flip if it was 50% heads, the entire world ends, tails, humanity ends up 2 times better off. So Judge Kaplan pointed to the fact that Sam Bankman-Fried said that he would take that coin flip as just, I guess, first of all, showing his insanely high risk tolerance, and secondly, kind of showed the way that Sam Bankman-Fried thinks in terms of expected value, and basically said that, you know, if Sam Bankman-Fried in his mind thought that the EV of maybe committing another fraud was worth it, and that the punishment wasn't severe enough, then he could reoffend potentially. So based on all the things he was saying, and he also, I think, called this crime obviously like one of the largest financial crimes and also political scandals in all of US history, the way that he was framing all of this leading up to his final reveal of what he would give Sam Bankman-Fried, the whole time I was like, oh, Sam is gonna get 40 to 50. Sam's gonna get 40 to 50. So I was actually a little shocked. God, I'm blabbing on. My brain is not fully functioning today, okay? I literally haven't slept. In the federal system, there's no parole. So the most time that Sam can get off is 15% for good behavior. So he will have to serve at least 21 years of his sentence. When you compare this situation to Bernie Madoff, who got 150 years, some people think that Sam Bankman-Fried's sentence was way too light. But ultimately, I'm kind of like, Bernie Madoff's sentence was largely just symbolic. Madoff was, I think, in his 70s when he was sentenced. So no one expected him to actually serve 150 years. This was largely just the judge obviously showing how severe his crime was. Madoff was at the end of his life, and ultimately he only served 12 of those 150 years because he died. It was largely just, you know, to send a message. So with someone much younger like Sam, again, I know it's a controversial statement, but I say this would apply to Mashinsky as well. I hope that neither actually have to be in prison until the day they literally die. I just want to see the pedophiles and the rapists and the murderers in prison for the rest of their lives. Quick pause, but I wanted to thank the sponsor of this video, Aura. Have you ever Googled your name or email and been shocked to see your personal information available to anyone searching? There are companies called data brokers that collect and sell your information to spammers, hackers, scammers, or anyone who may want to target you. Your name, home address, health records, relatives, what you buy, it's all out there for anyone to find and buy. Your information floating around the web can put you at risk, especially during tax season when scammers are known to file fraudulent claims with readily available personal information. Last year, the IRS flagged 2.4 million tax returns with refunds totaling $13.8 billion for possible identity theft, which is one of the many reasons why I've been a longtime user of Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura monitors the web 24/7 to see which data brokers are selling my information and then automatically submits requests on my behalf to remove me from these lists. Cleaning up my information not only reduces the amount of spam I get, but protects me from hackers who could use this type of information to help them access my social media accounts, bank accounts, or other sensitive information. information. With Aura, you also get credit monitoring, antivirus software, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft monitoring, insurance, and more, all in a single app at one affordable price. You might already have one or even a few of these tools, but not having all of them is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. Protect yourself and don't get scammed this tax season. Go to aura.com/Tiffany to start your 2-week free trial, also linked down below in the description box. Thank you so much to Aura, and back to the video. SBF addressed the court today, and I did not think his speech was good. I don't know. He apologized for his actions. He acknowledged the harm that he caused. He sided with a victim who spoke, whose name was Sunil, and he was like, I completely understand where Sunil is coming from. I completely understand all the pain I've caused. I'm not the one who really matters here. It's the victims who matter. He said some of the right things, but also said a lot of the wrong things. He was like, but ultimately, it was just a liquidity crisis. Like, he was not owning the fact that it was criminal. So that certainly didn't make Judge Lewis Kaplan happy, nor the rest of the court. You won't recognize Sam when he gets out. Oh, I will say that today I saw Sam in court, obviously. Sam had to show up in what are called prison tans, according to my new friend G-Lock, ex-Blood Gang member G-Lock. I've interviewed him on my YouTube channel. They're called prison tans. It literally looks like a potato sack. Like, it literally looks like Sam is wearing a potato sack. He's shackled. It's crazy to see someone who was once a multi-billionaire now in what looks like a prison potato sack and wearing shackles. It is just kind of a sight to behold. 25 years is pretty much life. Yeah, I mean, it's close. There are studies that show that being in prison shortens your life expectancy, and some studies have shown that, like, for every year you're in prison, 2 years of your life expectancy are cut short. So, you know, for someone who is going to spend like 20 years in prison, like, if your life expectancy is decreasing every year you spend there, then one might consider 25 years close to life. Who knows how long he'll stay alive? I don't know. I'm not going to predict that. You know, this is the end of an era. I've been, as I said to Louis in my last video, I've been balls deep in this case. So, you know, I had to come see the end. I already went over the sentencing, but his sentencing only lasted, I think, maybe 4 hours or so. So it already happened. It was pretty fast. I honestly think that Judge Lewis Kaplan already had his mind made up going into this. We started off the sentencing hearing with Judge Lewis Kaplan going over the total offense levels. And he went over, you know, every point at which the government and Sam Bankman-Fried's defense were in disagreement. So I guess examples of this were the government said that his total offense level should be increased because he perjured himself, for example, or witness tampered, for example. Sam's legal defense team obviously argued against that, saying he didn't perjure himself, he didn't witness tamper. So Judge Lewis Kaplan basically went through line by line and went, I side with the government on this. I also side with the government on this. He sided with the government on every single point for every increase in the total offense level. So that's how we started the sentencing hearing. That's part of why going into this from, like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes into the sentencing hearing, I was like, Sam's gonna get life or 40 to 50 years. I'm just saying that ultimately I was surprised that it wasn't a 40 to 50 year sentence. But again, going back to what I've said in the past, I personally wouldn't have supported a 40 to 50 year sentence because I think that that would basically be a life sentence for someone who's 32 years old. And again, I don't personally believe in life sentences for nonviolent criminals. What's next for the others, Caroline, etc.? Do I know what they're facing and when? I actually don't know the exact dates they're being sentenced, but they should be sentenced quite shortly. I heard that, like, typically they're usually, like, everyone in one case is usually sentenced in a short time span. I should check up on that. I will ask someone close to the case when they're being sentenced. But from everyone I've spoken to and people who were federal prosecutors, I've heard that it's very likely that Caroline, Gary, Nishad will all get out scot-free. I've heard that it's very likely they'll get 0 jail time. I'm not someone who would wish life sentences on any of them, but it is wild to me that someone like Sam, who was facing 110 years, is like the person that is targeted, but then anyone who cooperates against them, even if they were co-conspirators, can literally just rat and get out with 0 jail time. Obviously, I understand that the government is trying to incentivize people to work with the government and to cooperate, but to me, cooperation should mean, like, you get a decreased sentence. Like, if you were going to be sentenced to 25 years, maybe you get 5 years, 10 years. I don't know. It's crazy that it can just drop to 0 if you rat on someone. I think that's kind of wild in the criminal justice system. But yeah, so from everyone I've spoken to and from former federal prosecutors I've talked to, they think that it's very likely that Caroline, Gary, and Nishad get nothing. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff Nadu. As much as I personally don't get along with Sam Bankman-Fried's parents and know that most people fucking hate them and think they should be in prison, I will say that, like, I don't think there's anything worse than losing your child, whether it be to death or like a prison sentence that will outlive you. Like Barbara and Joe are, I believe, in their late 60s or early 70s. So Sam Bankman-Fried being in prison for 25 years or at minimum 21 years means that they will never see their son free for the rest of their lives. So as much as I dislike Sam's parents as much as anyone, I will say that, like, just on a human level, that I can't imagine what you must be going through as a parent to know that you are going to die before your son is going to be let out of prison. Like, that must be really difficult. So, I do, on a human level, feel a little bit bad for them. Today, actually, I was sitting right behind Barbara and Joe, like, literally in the row right behind them. And it was kind of tragic to see, like, both of them head in their hands, and, like, Joe had his hands over his ears, and like it was kind of sad to see someone just in front of you reacting that way, and watching your son get sentenced to a sentence which means they will never see you free for the rest of their lives. I don't know, it was a little bit sad to see. I'm human and I'm quite an empathetic person. I think I can sit down with anyone and empathize with them and have a normal human conversation with them. If you haven't noticed, on my YouTube channel, I've been interviewing blood gang members, ex-mafia enforcers, Ray Trapani, who is the other crypto criminal on that Bitcoin documentary on Netflix. I can sit down with anyone and like empathize with them and have a normal conversation with them. So if anyone gets really upset that I had human conversations with Sam, then sorry. No, so they're not putting him in max. Judge Kaplan requested that he be put in a medium or a minimum, which I think is a good call, because I don't think he deserves to get like fucking stabbed or something like that in a max. I really appreciate the super chat. That is so sweet. And thank you for the compliment calling me a good journalist, because, or a great journalist, because, you know, I never title myself a journalist. I never label myself anything, because, you know, I came into all of this with no background in journalism. I don't fully know what I'm doing. I'm Googling things along the way. Even in my conversations with Sam Bankman-Fried, obviously, like, I knew what on the record and off the record were generally, because I think those are generally used terms. But sometimes he'll use a term like on background or embargoed or whatever, and I'm like, yep, got it, Sam. And then I have to go Google it. So, you know, throughout this entire process of covering the FTX SBF trial, I've felt a little bit in over my head, and I've been trying to just learn as I go. So I appreciate that compliment. I'm very new to this, and that's very sweet.